So, if you've been watching my channel at all, you're probably familiar with the fact that I recently moved out of my parents' place. I'm in my mid 20s, lived with my parents my whole life, and I decided it was finally time to get up, get out, and kind of do my own thing, be my own man, start taking care of things as an adult. So, along this process of moving out, I've learned a lot of different things. One thing that I've really learned a lot about that I thought I knew a bunch about, however, moving out really opened my eyes to it was budgeting. And more specifically, how difficult it could be to budget your money as someone in your mid 20s, living on your own, who's not really making a ton of money. So, I definitely want to dive into this today, talk about a few things that I've sort of learned as far as budgeting goes, and just some like realizations that I've had just in general about like living out on your own and taking care of everything yourself, specifically when it comes to like the financial aspect of it. So without further ado, let's get right into this. So first and foremost, let's talk about rent. I'll tell you what, I moved to a different state in order to be able to afford living out on my own. Where I'm from originally is just extremely expensive, one of the more expensive states in the country. So I've moved somewhere that is relatively affordable, definitely much more affordable than where I'm from originally. And with that being said, I still feel like I'm overpaying for my basic necessities, and rent is probably the biggest factor of that. Like my rent takes up a decent chunk of my income, and I knew that going into this whole process of moving out and being on my own. Like I knew this was going to be the case, but now that I'm in the thick of it, I'm just like it sucks paying a decent amount of your hard-earned money towards just rent alone. You know what I mean? So I've come to the realization that whether you're renting or you're buying, especially with interest rates right now, like, living expenses they're getting out of hand, honestly. And I think most people can relate to this, just because, I mean, I see it with my friends, but also just across the country, in different states and different cities. Like it seems pretty universal. And again, I'm not even in that expensive of an area. So people who are living in like California and, parts of Florida and New Jersey, New York, like those places are out of hand. So I've realized how expensive living is. And, I just feel for people, man. Like I feel for people. The struggle is real nowadays. So I mean, people are doing all different kinds of things, whether it's, having a roommate or house hacking, or some people are just straight up living in their cars because it's so much cheaper than rent, or owning. So that's one thing I want to talk about. Another thing I want to talk about is cars. So I've been hearing for a while how the car market is out of control. I personally don't So I don't really have too much experience with this right now personally, just because I leased a car back in like 2018. My lease was up in 2021 when the car market was pretty crazy, for that time after COVID. So I ended up kind of lucking out just with the timing of it. My lease came up in 2021 and my buyout was much cheaper for the lease than the market value of the car. So while I wasn't in love with the car that I was leasing, I kind of just leased it just because I needed a car at the time back in 2018, and it's what they had on the lot. It was right before like the next year's models had come out, so I got a good deal on it. I was comfortable with it. It worked for me. But then fast forward 3 years when the lease was up, and like I said, the buyout price was significantly less than the market value. So I had considered buying it out and then selling it to make a little bit of money. But then I was like, then I'm going to have to buy a car and I'm going to end up overpaying. So I just ended up buying it out. I drive a Honda. It's great. Knock on wood. Haven't really had any problems. I maintain it. Just hit 100,000 miles on it. Hopefully I drive it for at least another 100,000. So I'm in a pretty good shape and it's paid off. So, I own the car. I'm in pretty good shape when it comes to vehicles, but I know a lot of other people are, struggling to afford a car. Like a friend of mine just bought a new car and his payment is 480 a month and then his insurance is 380 a month. So we're talking about almost $800 here, just $800 per month just to drive. Like that to me is insane. Insane. Now, could he have gotten a cheaper option? Probably. But nonetheless, this is what he's driving now. And I'm just like, $800 a month is crazy, man. Like rent is expensive, but so are cars. It's crazy. I really do feel for people who are struggling right now. So, if you're struggling, you're out there, you're drowning in your monthly expenses, like just know you're not the only one. That's not to say just, sit back and relax and let let things happen. Like you got to go out and make some changes probably, but I just, I want you to know that you're not the only person struggling when it comes to like rent or, paying for your cars or your monthly expenses or anything like that. So next thing I want to talk about, another thing that, has been sort of brought to my attention now that I'm out on my own, basically taking care, not basically, I am taking care of everything I need to do financially speaking. Because again, I'm out living on my own here. Mommy and daddy aren't, taking care of things for me the way they used to. And I would like to preface that my parents were fantastic. They let me stay at home with them for um, a long time, not paying rent, not paying for food and stuff like that. I couldn't be where I'm at today without them. So I do appreciate them more than anything. And they know that. I make sure they know that. But another thing I want to talk about, unexpected expenses. Like things just pop up nowadays, like random stuff. Like I can't even like think of something specific right now, but it's just like random stuff that you need. Whether it's just, I mean, there's the basics like toiletries and all that kind of stuff, which aren't necessarily unexpected, but you still need those things. Again, like my parents were buying all that stuff back when I was living at home, so I just never really thought about it, which was kind of immature of me in a sense. But I realize that now. I mean, I guess it's just like you don't realize it until you actually have to do it, kind of thing. Um, but still, unexpected expenses pop up all the time. There's random things that you have to take care of, and again, no one else is there to do it except for you. So fitting this stuff in the budget when the budget is already tight, it just becomes difficult. Like it just takes more planning. I do try to set some money aside every month just for like unexpected expenses. Just throw it in the savings just in case. You never know what's going to happen. So that's another thing that you know has made me realize, or excuse me, another thing I've realized from living out on my own and budgeting everything on my own in my 20s, when I'm not really making a significant amount of money, like I mentioned. Um, so all this has made me realize that I feel like a second job is almost mandatory now. Like when I was living at home and I didn't really have too much to worry about as far as like expenses, but also like responsibilities. Like I'm not even gonna lie, like I had like my laundry was taken care of and stuff like that, which is gonna make me sound like spoiled and all that. But I will say in my defense, like while a lot of things were taken care of for me, I took advantage of this time. Like I was working two, three jobs during this time period. I was paying off my student loans aggressively, which are paid off. I'm debt free now. So while a lot of stuff was taken care of for me, and I may seem a little spoiled in certain senses, like my food was taken care of, rent was taken care of, I even had my laundry taken care of. I did appreciate all this and took advantage of this time period and made the most of it by getting out of debt, saving up a good chunk of money, investing, doing all those things that I should be doing. So that's, I mean, just a little bit of piece of context, I guess you can say. But let's get back to what I was just mentioning. So the second job now is basically mandatory. And I will say, I'm not working a second job at the moment, but I've really been like looking into it and trying to find one just because I feel like while I am saving and investing a little bit every month, I feel like I'm not doing as well as I could be doing. And I hate that and I want to improve that. So I'm definitely looking into a second job right now. But then again, there's also the factor of having a second job eats into your social life, your time to exercise, your time to get sleep, like all these different things. Like something's got to give, right? Like if there's no time left in the day and you're going to start a second job, like something has to give up that time. And I know this one person I work with, like he's a hustler. Like he works a normal day job during the week, and then he's working at a restaurant on the weekends. And he doesn't have as much time to see his girl. And I mean, he's doing basically what I was doing in my early 20s. He's trying to pay off all his student loans and get his debt taken care of. So I respect his hustle, and I definitely appreciate it. But he doesn't have much of a social life. He just works all the time, and he's tries to make sure he gets enough sleep and gets enough exercise in. So it's tough, man. It's definitely a grind. So it's not only budgeting your money, but also budgeting your time is a whole nother conversation. So I will say, I will expand on that a little bit, and then I'll finish up this video. Balancing your social life with your financial goals is tricky. And I guess we could say budgeting your time when it comes to your social life versus your financial goals can be tricky, because it is hard to say no, and a lot of things that you want to do as far as your social life goes can be rather expensive nowadays. So I think learning to say no to people and finding ways to enjoy yourself without spending money is a great way to budget your time and your finances at the same time. That's helped me a lot. Once I learned how to say no to people, and it's okay if people take that the wrong way. Like if you just tell people like, listen, man, I'm trying to save up some money. I'm trying not to spend too much this month. I want to, pay off some credit cards or some loans or whatever you have to tell them. Like it's okay to be honest with them about it. If you're not comfortable with it, then don't. But if they're really your friend, they're gonna understand and respect that. Um, but yeah, this video was really just about acknowledging the fact that when you're out on your own and you're handling everything yourself, especially if it's new to you, budgeting your finances and your time can be difficult, and there's no easy formula to make it happen. So I just I wanted to kind of give my piece on it, give my perspective, and let you guys know that you're not the only one who kind of struggles with budgeting from time to time. But again, you can always work at it. You can always make changes. You can change things on a monthly basis and kind of figure out what works for you. And I'm getting there. I'm still working on it myself. Now that I have a good grasp on my budget, I realize that I really want to be making more money so that I can invest more aggressively every month. So now it looks like I'm, going to need to get a second job at some point. I've been thinking about it, and I would do DoorDash every once in a while, and I still can do that. So maybe I'll pick that back up, but we'll see. I'm weighing out my options and thinking about what I want to do, but just wanted you guys to know you're not the only one struggling out there when it comes to budgeting your money and your time. So yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. I appreciate you checking in as always. If you are new here, I post every Tuesday and Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern time. And then on Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern time, I talk about all different kinds of things: personal finance, budgeting, investing, just like personal life experiences and everything in between that. So if you do like this kind of content, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.